Hello, everyone. Welcome to the annual WISE Symposium. And today we have Morgan James, who is a Churchill High School graduate and a former WISE Symposium participant. She recently graduated from the University of Oregon with a Bachelor in Marine Science.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here. And it's an honor to present to you guys because I had a lovely time in the WISE program while I was at Churchill. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience studying marine biology. And I have a little presentation for you all. All right, so again, my name is Morgan. I'm a former student at Churchill High School and a recent graduate of University of Oregon that studied marine biology. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of my journey with marine biology, specifically at the University of Oregon. I'm going to talk about Oregon Institute of Marine Biology, which is University of Oregon's marine station. I'm going to give some helpful tips and kind of recommendations for pursuing marine biology in college, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end where you can ask me anything you're wondering. Also, feel free to interrupt me in the middle or type questions in the chat if you have any questions during my presentation. So I started a very long time ago just by loving the ocean and all of the animals in it. I grew up as a little kid loving going to the beach and playing in tide pools, and I've always been fascinated with it. So when I got to Churchill and got the opportunity to take some amazing courses in biology and marine biology and environmental science, it really inspired me to continue on this path and continue to study marine biology in college. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience studying marine biology. I also was a marine biology student advisor at the University of Oregon. So I have some of that perspective, kind of giving students advice and telling them about my experience. So if you have any questions about that, I'll provide my contact information at the end, and feel free to contact me with any questions you have. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about research experience that I've had both in classes and outside of classes. I worked in one of the labs at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology for a little over a year after I was done with my program, which was an amazing experience. And since then, I've been continuing research that I started then and looking into graduate schools. I'm going to have a bunch of photos on these slides, so I'll try and remember to tell you guys what they are. This photo on the left is a photo of some students deploying a trawl net off of the back of Oregon Institute of Marine Biology's research vessel. So it's used both in classes and in faculty's research to collect samples off the Oregon coast. So that was part of a class. It was really fun. And then that photo on the right is a drawing I did in a biological illustrations class, which is one of the classes at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. It was a lot of fun. So I'm going to cover some of the logistics of the marine biology major. First, kind of get the boring stuff out of the way, and then we'll talk about the fun stuff. I just feel like this is helpful information and stuff that I wish I would have known kind of earlier on in my journey. So one of the important things to know is that studying marine biology at the University of Oregon is like studying biology, getting an undergraduate degree in biology, And then also getting extra fantastic experience in marine science, because when you get an undergraduate degree in marine biology, it's good for any of the same qualifications as you would use a regular biology degree for. So even if you're unsure if you want to go into marine biology, but you know you want to go into some sort of biological science, the marine biology major is a great way to do that while having a fantastic experience at one of the most amazing research institutes. So in addition to general university requirements, there are requirements for the major, just like any other major. And there's a lot of math and science classes that you do have to take as prerequisites before you can get into a lot of the more specific upper division marine classes. Don't be scared. I was a little scared at first, but don't be scared. It's a lot of work, but it's well worth it. And there are lots of resources to help. I just want you all to be aware that there's a lot of math and science coursework that needs to be done for the major. So it's just something good to keep in mind. And usually students end up starting their time at the Marine Lab and their more focused coursework around year 3 of their degree because of those prerequisites. As a marine biology major, you're required to spend 3 quarters at the Marine Lab, but you can go back for more if you like. I wish I did because it's really amazing. And then there's also an optional honors program, which allows you to kind of delve more into research and a specific area of focus that you like, and really work one-on-one with a faculty member on a project, and you have a kind of a thesis project like you would in graduate school. So it's perfect practice for that. I had several friends who did that and they really enjoyed it. Here's a link to the requirements for the marine biology major. I'm going to provide all these links at the end as well as resources for you guys. But that's just something to keep in mind if you're wondering more about courses and requirements. So now we're going to talk about more about Oregon Institute of Marine Biology, which is one of my favorite places in the world. It was truly an amazing experience, and being here is what makes the marine biology major so unique and so much fun and so incredible. It's a really underappreciated program and place, and I wish more people knew about it. Oftentimes people will think about a marine biology major and be kind of unsure and then visit the marine lab. And that solidifies the decision, because it's truly amazing, and the community there is really fantastic. So the Marine Lab is located in Charleston, Oregon, which is a small fishing village that's near Coos Bay. If you know where that is, it's about 20 minutes away. So Charleston itself is a pretty small place, but it's closer to a larger city. But the location of it is ideal for different types of research and sampling. It's right on the coast. University of Oregon, when I started my degree, I'm pretty sure this is still the case, but when I started my degree in 2015, it's the only university in the Pacific Northwest that has a marine biology major. So a lot of other universities will have a biology major with an option to have a marine science focus or a marine science minor, or other internships or other programs in marine science, but you don't actually get a major in marine biology. And if you want to study marine biology as an undergraduate in college, it's a really, really fantastic place to do it. And, you know, not a major in a program that is well known, but I wish it was. So Oregon Institute of Marine Biology, it has a bunch of resident faculty and all of their research labs. There's a bunch of classrooms. There's a dining hall, which is on the bottom part of this building in the picture. And then campus housing. So there's dorms, some of which are on the top level of the building in the photo. And then there's also some cottages and cabins as well for housing that are used during the fall. And then additionally on campus, right across the street from all the classrooms is the Charleston Marine Life Center, which is University of Oregon's aquarium, where students can go there to see all the animals. There's great opportunities for volunteering and to actually work hands-on with the animals and take care of them and learn how animal husbandry and care works. So I know this is a ton of words, but this is a sample of courses that are offered at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. This is not all of the courses that have ever been offered, but it's a bunch of them. They're not all offered all the time. So a lot of classes are only offered one term of the year, and that's to do with weather, and certain animals are better to see certain times of year. So like a lot of courses are offered in spring because that's when animals grow and spawn. And the courses with stars are courses that I took while I was there. So if anybody wants more information about my experience in those courses, definitely let me know. But all courses at OIMB are lab and field based, which is another thing that really sets it apart from other programs, is that like you are spending time in classrooms, certainly, but a lot of your time is based in the field and in the lab. So it's so much hands-on experience, which for me and for so many other people is really, really ideal for learning. It was the best learning environment. Classes are really small. They're usually capped at around 20 or 25 students max. So you have a really tight-knit group and you're able to make friends with everybody and really get to know faculty well, and have really in-depth classes that you can really truly learn by going in the field and having hands-on experience. The course offerings do change, and there are visiting professors also in the summers. So again, this does change, but this is a sample of what classes are available. There aren't any courses at the Marine Lab in the winter, and that's due to weather, just because it's pretty cold and blustery in the winter on the coast. But yeah, at the end, again, I'm going to provide a link to the biology and marine biology advising page by University of Oregon, and that has all kinds of information about course offerings and requirements. So here are some of the faculty at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. They're all amazing people. I cannot talk enough about how awesome these people are, and I've really gotten a chance to know them well and spend time in their classes and doing research with them, both in classes and outside of classes. So these people are really, really wonderful. A lot of them are world-renowned experts in their field. And these classes were so much fun. You really get a lot of opportunity to spend one-on-one time with the faculty and to really go deep into the knowledge, and it's a really incredible experience. So these are some photos of the faculty. So now I'm going to talk about some of the research that I have been able to do at the Marine Lab. I'm going to talk about both research from courses specifically, and then also research outside of classes, just to give you guys an idea about what is available and how much opportunity is provided for research by OIMB. So this slide has some examples of research that I've been able to do in classes. And this photo on the left here is a photo of a radula, which is a band of teeth from a sea slug. And it's crazy. You would never think that by looking at it. But one of the projects that I was able to do was use a a scanning electron microscope to image the teeth of sea slugs. And the sea slug biology course is one that's offered sometimes in summers. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, I got to do a project with some others on that. That was really amazing. Another one of the courses that I took is invertebrate zoology, where we got to extract the DNA from different small marine invertebrates, so like worms and things, and looking at their DNA sequences and trying to find, you know, hidden or cryptic species. And we actually got to, as a class, update a world database for genetic data for these inverts. So it was really cool, and it provided like a real world experience to contribute to research. Another class that I really enjoyed was the cell biology course taught by George Von Dasso, and he's an expert in microscopy, and he taught us how to take high-speed videos of really, really tiny things. So one of the projects that we got to do was to find something cool, something really tiny and really cool, and learn how to take a really nice video of it and understand what's happening with the biology, and also create a beautiful video. So I was able to do a project where I took videos of the color cells in squid skin, baby squid skin. It was fascinating and so much fun. Another class that I really enjoyed was molecular marine biology. And that was a fantastic course for learning skills about molecular biology in general, and all of the lab work and all the skills that's necessary to kind of get into like sequencing DNA and understanding what that all means. We were able to take genetic samples from different species, and my project was on Irish marine worms, where we were able to see what new species we might have found from these samples, like ones that look alike, to see, oh, are they one species or two or five? And that was really cool. Another course that I took that I loved was the deep sea biology course. And one of the projects in that class is actually an in-house publication. So Oregon Institute of Marine Biology has started an in-house publication called Oregon Shelf Invertebrates. And the aim is to describe all of the animals that you find on the shelf in the ocean. And we go out on the field on the research vessel, and we use the research vessel and a trawl, various equipment to collect these animals. And then students are allowed to pick a couple and describe and research everything about them and include photos. And then at the end, it gets included in this Oregon Shelf Invertebrate publication and becomes part of this awesome record that OIMB has. Also, the biological illustrations course was a fantastic one that I loved a lot. And we were taught how to illustrate marine animals in both a scientifically accurate way and a really beautiful way. And I loved that course a lot too. Also, here are some photos of research that I've been involved in. The one on the left is an animal called a pyrosome, which is a tunicate, kind of a squishy gelatinous animal. And this one swims around in the ocean. And one of the research projects that I've been involved in for several years now, and actually I'm still working on now, is describing their reproductive strategy, because they have a very odd one that people don't understand very well. So one of the opportunities that came up at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology was to, get involved in projects like this and continue the research on and hopefully into publication. This second photo is a group of my friends while we were at sea on the research vessel. And we had just sampled for animals on the shelf, and they're all holding sea cucumbers. So that's what's in their hand. Just an example of like the fun trips you go on and all this awesome work in the field. These two photos on the right are from a trip that I was lucky enough to be a part of to Ireland. And this was in 2019. We went to a marine reserve in Ireland called Lochine Marine Reserve. And we were there with the goal of finding as many animals as we could on the rocks near, on the tidal line, so near the shore. And we wanted to find as many animals as we could and count them and see how much biodiversity we could find. And that little photo on the bottom right is a picture of a tiny flatworm that we found. It was very beautiful, so I wanted to include its photo. So yeah, now I'm going to talk a little bit about some research that was independent of courses. That photo is a photo of me on my most recent research trip. I was lucky enough to be part of a research expedition this past fall in the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico. And I was helping out the young lab at the Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. And we were doing all kinds of different sampling, but we were trying to find marine larvae. So we have these big, basically ocean robots that go down and collect samples for us, and we bring them back up, and then we sort through them and look at them under microscopes and see how much biodiversity we have. So that was an amazing trip. It was during COVID, so we had some really, really strict quarantining protocols and lots of testing. So they made it very safe. It was very safe. But yeah, that was an amazing experience. So that's a photo of me about to deploy a plankton net to get some samples. The pyrosome reproduction project that I talked a little about before, that's an example of a project that I was involved in all throughout my time at OIMB. And I started that one because I was just interested in getting some more lab research experience. And so I went up to Dr. Craig Young and I was like, hey, can I do some research in your lab? And he was like, absolutely, we'd love to have you. So it just kind of underscores how important research is and how important it is to get experience in things you're interested in. And all the faculty at OIMB is fantastic. And they would love to have you help with research. So definitely, if this is something you do, definitely reach out, don't be shy, and ask how you can be involved. Some of the other research I've done is working with George von Dasso, looking at different mechanisms of cytokinesis and in cell division, and using confocal microscopy to look at these things, which is a really amazing experience. So that's just a taste of the different types of research that you could be involved in by studying marine biology at the University of Oregon. So I'm going to talk a little bit about student life and what campus is like. This photo is a photo of all of the undergraduates, almost all of them, that were at the Marine Lab that term. So again, classes are really small. It allows you to make really great friends and have really great classes. So this photo was taken after we did some sampling, some snorkel sampling on the coast for the deep sea and subtidal ecology class. It was so much fun. I don't know if you can see the smiles on everyone's faces, but it was a fantastic time, and I am great friends with all of these people still. So I have made lifelong friendships with people I met there. It's a really, really fantastic community. And I met my fiance there too, so bonus for me. But yeah, the community at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology is really fantastic, and because it's so small, it really allows you to make those connections. Um, Part of what makes OIMB so unique. In terms of living on campus as a student, there are different types of housing. There's dorms, which students usually stay in, and there's also these kind of cabins or cottages that are used in the fall. Last year with COVID, classes were remote. So there weren't students living on campus then, but it's moved into a hybrid situation now. And hopefully soon with COVID, things will be resolved enough to where it's completely back to normal, but we'll see. And now there are students that are living and studying at Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. Again, the Charleston Marine Life Center is University of Oregon's aquarium that's on campus, and it's a fantastic place to both learn and to hang out, to volunteer, and to get really literally hands-on experience with a lot of local animals. You can feed the octopus that lives there. You can clean the tanks, you can feed the anemones, you can pet starfish. You can see these fantastic historical samples. There's an amazing shell collection, there's living animals, and a lot of the research from faculty at OIMB is also highlighted at the Marine Life Center as well. I was a volunteer at the Marine Life Center at multiple points during my time at OIMB, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's a fantastic experience. It really gives you an idea of what like taking care of marine animals is like, if animal husbandry is something you're interested in. And it's a really fantastic, unique place. So definitely check that out. And you can also just go as a visitor as well. It's open to the public. Actually, I don't know if it's open now, it might be, but with COVID, but it's usually open to the public. Yeah, so class sizes are small. And again, the other thing with classes that I really want to emphasize is that there's a classroom component to a lot of them, but there's a lot of time spent in the field and in the lab. So if that's something that makes you excited and something you're looking for, and you really want that tight-knit, hands-on personal experience, I would really look into studying marine biology here because it's really unique and fantastic. I'm going to talk about some recommendations I have for you all. That some of these things I knew, some of them I didn't when I was in high school, and I think it's some useful information for students to know who are interested in marine biology at the University of Oregon. Real quick, the photo on the bottom right is the tiniest baby starfish. We found a bunch of these on our research trip in Loch Einn Marine Reserve in Ireland. And this baby starfish is less than 0.5 millimeter across. This is a photo through a microscope, and we found hundreds of these. I thought it was very cute, and I wanted to share this photo because there's lots of really amazing marine organisms that are really tiny. And so your time at OIMB, you'll spend some time using microscopes and seeing really tiny things up close. Okay, so the recommendations I have. First of all, definitely take AP courses in high school if you can. Churchill has some fantastic ones, and I took a lot of them when I was there. Not only are they awesome and have great teachers, but it saves you a lot of money in college because classes in college are expensive, and some courses, if you take the class and you take the AP test for that class, sometimes it can go towards your prerequisite classes based on your scores. So sometimes students can have like the first part of like chemistry or general biology or their math classes. They don't need to take those in college because they've taken the college equivalent in high school, and then you don't have to pay for it in college. Again, I know I've talked a lot about research and experience, but experience it's amazing. And it really helps you understand what you want to do more specifically in the field. Um, and it's a lot of fun, especially in a place like this. University of Oregon and people who go there and study there are really spoiled to have Oregon Institute of Marine Biology, because it gives students, undergrads and graduate students and faculty, just opportunities to all kinds of experience and research. So when I say I get experience, I don't just mean classes. Of course I mean classes. Take all kinds of cool classes because there's so many, but also really try and get some research experience, whether that's volunteering in a lab, or you can volunteer at the Charleston Marine Life Center as well. And it's so much fun. Another thing is really get to know the faculty and everyone at OIMB, but getting to know your teachers and who they are and what they study is awesome. It helps you build connections that you keep. I have so many connections with faculty there still, and I plan to keep those because there's some amazing faculty who have given me some amazing knowledge and amazing experience, both through courses and research. So I know it's scary to reach out to faculty because that makes me nervous as well. And I was a little freaked out by it, but it's worth it, I promise. So send that email, or go up to your professor and ask about the research, or about courses and stuff, because they're happy to give you experience and answer your questions. Another thing I highly recommend is taking a tour of the Marine Lab. This is something that the faculty and staff at OIMB are happy to do for you. And it really helps kind of solidify the decision for a lot of people to go to OIMB for their undergraduate experience. I remember when I was applying to schools, when I was still in high school and applying to colleges, I wasn't sure that I wanted to go to University of Oregon. I had a lot of other options of places I was applying to, and I didn't know about OIMB. It's very underappreciated for what it is, and people often don't know that University of Oregon has a marine station. So definitely, if you're unsure, arrange a tour, because they're happy to give you a tour. And oftentimes, myself included, you'll be thinking about going to University of Oregon and OIMB in college, and then you'll visit and then be like, yes, I want to be here, because it's a beautiful place with so much opportunity. One of the courses that I wanted to point out in particular is called Bio 199. And it's a course that any student can take. You don't even have to be a marine biology major. And the cool thing about this class is that there are not prerequisites. So most of the classes at OIMB require you to have your like your chemistry sequence and your biology sequence and a lot of those prerequisites done before you start taking upper division courses at the Marine Lab. But this Bio 199 course has no prerequisites. And it's a class that happens over the weekend, and it allows you to get a taste of what it's like to be a student studying and living at the Marine Lab. So I took that class, and it was really fun. I met a lot of really cool people, and they show you kind of all around campus and what classes are like. And it gives you a really great snapshot of what it's like to study there. So I highly recommend that. Another thing is scholarships. College is expensive. So the university has general scholarships you can apply for when you apply to the university. But OIMB also has scholarships that are separate from those. So if you are applying to go to OIMB for a marine biology major, or just for a term, there are scholarships available. And That's not very widely known, but there are scholarships, and it's not a ton of money, but it definitely helps. And so it's a good resource for people to know about. And then lastly, just don't hesitate to contact people and reach out for advice and help. That includes everybody from faculty at the Marine Lab to the educational coordinators and the advisors, and me as well. So I am going to give you guys my contact information, and if you have any questions that you think of after this presentation is over, or later, or in a year, email me, because I would love to answer your questions. And if you want to know about a specific class, or about what life is like there, or living there, or any question you may have, contact me. I'm going to provide the contact information in the chat shortly, and then I will also provide helpful contact information to your teachers, who will give later on. So with that, I hope that gave you a good look into what it is like to study marine biology at the University of Oregon as an undergraduate. And if you have any questions, now we will have a question and answer period.
So I have a couple of questions here. You mentioned that you took a class in sea slug biology, and you did some research along that area. Can you tell me just like what's the place of a sea slug in the ocean?
Yeah, so sea slugs are found kind of all over, but most of them like to be in areas where there's light. So you'll find them like in tide pools, or if you're a scuba diver, they're also found a little deeper than what tide pools are as well. And sea slugs are amazing creatures because a lot of them, some of them can photosynthesize, so make their own food from light, just like a plant. Others can steal the stinging cells from other animals or the food that they eat, and then keep them in their own body to use later. So they're a really interesting animal as part of the ecosystem and the whole, kind of tide pool community, both in Oregon and all over the world. There's sea slugs are everywhere. So there's different species and different, communities that they belong to all over. But the ones that you find here in Oregon, when you're exploring in the tide pools, are really beautiful and amazing. And there's a lot of really awesome information you can get from them. My project in that class was to look at their teeth with a microscope up close, to see how their tooth shape is correlated with what they eat. Because some sea slugs are herbivorous, so they only eat like algae, and others will eat other animals such as sponges or bryozoans. So what my project was focusing on was looking at their teeth up close to see kind of how the morphology of their teeth correlates with what they eat and their role in the community.
There's another question here. What's the most interesting organism you've seen while studying marine biology?
So that's a really difficult question, especially as someone who loves biodiversity and loves kind of looking at like the whole community of organisms. And Oregon has so many. This part of the Oregon coast near Charleston is so very biodiverse. So it's a really tricky question to answer. I do really love sea slugs a lot. They're very interesting. I love octopuses. As you can tell from this photo, this is one that I found in a tide pool. So it was hiding in a cave in a tide pool. And you can tell that they camouflage really well. I'm very fascinated by the octopus and its relatives. And another project I did was looking at the color changing cells in squid skin. And squid are very closely related to octopuses. So I would say that the octopus and sea slugs are definitely some of my favorites. I also love really, really tiny organisms, even single-celled ones such as diatoms. They're beautiful. They're basically encased in glass and look really pretty under a microscope. There's also lots of whales. I could go on. I'm going to stop rambling, but there's a lot to love here.
Okay, and how about the weirdest organism you've seen?
One of the weirdest is these pyrosomes that I mentioned studying as well. And they're these animals that look like basically giant gelatinous tubes. They almost look like a pool noodle a little bit. And they live their life kind of swimming around in the water and eating small plankton that's floating. They're also bioluminescent, so they glow, they can make their own light. And they're very bizarre because they're basically a swimming tube that eats and has a very interesting reproductive strategy, which is what we were studying. They alternate between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction, and so we were studying that in more depth. But it's very interesting, and they're also all over the world, and so we were kind of looking at how, like, why are we getting pyrosomes here, because they're usually tropical, and so kind of how warming water has kind of spread their zone. They're one of the weirder organisms for sure that I've seen here.
Okay, and then you mentioned that you were thinking about applying to grad school.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of what you want to study or where you want to study? Would you stay with UO or go to another university?
So I'm still kind of looking around to see what's available at different universities. And my plan was to go visit some last year, but then when COVID hit, that made that impossible. So it slowed down my progress with exploring graduate school a little bit, but I'm getting back into it now. I have a lot of varying interests, but something I would like to pursue in graduate school is looking at conservation and biodiversity, conservation in particular. I love biodiversity, and it's what we need to preserve, really. And so seeing all these amazing organisms in the community, and knowing that a lot of them are threatened by climate change and other things, but climate change is the big one. So I love all of these organisms, and I want to do what I can to help protect them. So I would love to go into a conservation field eventually, and I think that graduate school will hopefully give me some more experience in that area.
Well, great. There's one last question here regarding how many classes or credits does a person need to get a degree in marine biology?
Yeah, so I think, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've looked at that degree requirements sheet. I think it's 125 credits total. Don't quote me on that, but I have provided the link to where this information is, and it will give you a credit breakdown. The requirement for the marine biology major is to spend 3 terms, so 3 quarters at the marine lab. And then you are required to meet a specific number of credits for upper division classes. So anything that's 300 level and above. So most prerequisites are 100 or 200 level, but anything that's 300 or up is an upper division course. And I want to say, so there's a general university requirement for upper division course credits. And then there's also, for each major, there's a upper division course requirement. So with the marine biology major, if you take all of your upper division classes at the Marine Lab, you're basically covered for upper division courses for your major, but you wouldn't necessarily be covered for all of them for your whole degree. So that's something important to know, because you need to have a certain number of upper division courses for your major. I think it's like 46 for marine biology. Again, it'll be on that sheet that I'll give you guys the link to. But then there is additional upper division credits required just for the university in general. So you could take that in a non-biology class even. But yeah, I hope that was helpful and answered the question a little bit.
Yes, it is, very much. Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for coming and talking to our students today about your experiences.
It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed, and thanks for having me. I really hope that I've inspired some of you guys, and anyone who's even remotely interested in marine biology. Definitely look more into it and contact me if you have any questions.
All right, thank you.